like right now, our planet is moving, spinning, and it's moving through space.
Scooby, have you ever heard of Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Yeah, there's creation tools that allow you to edit on your phone and computer.
What? Will it allow you to distribute to all your favorite platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify?
Yeah, it does it for you. And you can make money with minimum listenership.
So you're telling me it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one app?
Yes, it is.
So if you haven't already, go to the Anchor app or anchor.fm to get started.
What he said.
All right, y'all. Welcome to another great episode of Bridging the Gap with Bill, Shy, Scoob, and Mac. And this time we're going to be at the movies. But before we get into that, we're going to make our rounds here and let other information be known. Start with Scoob.
Word, shit. Y'all make sure if y'all haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify. The social medias are at Bridge the Gap 77. My social media is Scooby the Kid 252. Bill's social media is at Bill Perry. At Shero. I can't remember your social media off the top of my head, Shot.
Oh no, that's fine. What you said is just fine, and you're one of the rare ones that pronounce this right.
Shit, funny story. My mom, when we used to play Rock Band, her nickname was Caro. I always think about it when I see your name.
That's pretty. I like that, Caro.
And then Chef Mac is at Chef Mac 1523. That's pretty much all on the social media tip. I hope y'all follow us and tweet us with any questions y'all got, so we can answer them here on the podcast.
And just as a side note, disclaimer, make sure that you're all washing your hands out there and keeping yourself quarantined and only going out for essentials, but essentially keeping yourself locked down and be very sanitary. If you do leave out and about, make sure you have sanitizer on your person and all that.
Hell yeah. Alrighty.
Well, before we get into the topic, we do this every week. How's everybody doing today? Mental health wise, physically, mentally, whatever,
Well, for me personally, over the last few days, I've been really active with a lot of different things and stuff. As I was saying on the last podcast, reaching back into things on the shelf. And actually, in this case, reaching to some new ideas. And as my sister Cheryl knows, I've been getting back into my cartoon thing. And that's been keeping me active. And I've been doing some musical stuff as well. And but with that said, I've also been finding myself a little burnt out and everything, because I've just been really keeping myself active with ideas and been finding myself having to rest. But peace of mind or being sound of mind, I am.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty well. I was a little under the weather this past week, but I'm slowly getting out of it. I went and got some protein shakes and pre-workouts and post-workouts and trying to get my body back feeling like I was in high school, because I was thinking of a time when I was like working out and like when I was just really, like motivated, and I got to thinking about my high school days, and I was working out a lot. So like, I wanted to introduce that back into my life, even though being on quarantine, been doing some, push-ups, sit-ups, running, jump rope, a lot of body weight exercises, just trying to get toned up, and mentally wise, doing better than ever, I gotta, when this drops, I'll have a project called Kia Sport is dropping on Sunday, and I'm really excited about the teaser we got for that. So I hope y'all check that out when it comes out.
Word. What about you, Shy? How's your mental health and what have you?
Overall, I'm doing fine. I feel fine, and I'm doing a lot better than most. I think, if anything, I was doing so much before the pandemic and the lockdown that I didn't realize that I was a lot more exhausted than what it seemed. And once everything stopped, kind of been resting a lot and just taking it easy and getting my energy back. And like how I've been telling you, getting my mood back.
Word. Yeah,
Because
no
I've
doubt.
just been a little burnt out, like how you said. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic being that we're all on lockdown, but then still finding ourselves being burnt out, at least those that are, staying active mentally and such.
Thanks.
Well, hey man, let's
Yeah.
just get right into it now,
What
man.
about
I
Chef
mean, I
Max?
think what a lot of people are doing right. Well, before we do that, first let's get into Chef Mac's mind, and then we'll jump into that.
I'm doing good. Very tired. I have not been sleeping very good lately, but other than that, I'm doing great.
That's a common thread, it seems, with all four of us here. It's like we've all been keeping ourselves active, but we're all kind of getting burnt out. I guess that's including this podcast. We're on our. This is episode 10, is it not?
Episode 10. Yep.
And
Rounding it off into double digits.
I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just said rounding off to double digits. What were you about to say?
Oh, I said I feel like I'm a lot like Hunter. I haven't been sleeping. My sleeping has been so off lately. But at the same time, it's like I got the whole day, so it's okay that if I wake up at 6 in the morning and then take a nap, or it's just been a little odd.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
Well, I guess now we can jump into the movies, huh?
yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
That's what everybody's probably doing right about now, is watching a lot of movies and stuff like that. And that's what this particular episode is about. And I just figured, man, we just talk casually about it, man. We're all movie buffs here and like watching films. So, anything anybody want to lead off with or what?
I just went to Redbox and rented this movie. Let me get it so I don't fuck up the title. It's called The Gentleman. It's got Matthew McConaughey in it, Brad Pitt. I want to say not Liam Neeson, the dude that plays Thor, but I couldn't tell because like they're all like it's based out of this like drug dealer in England that only sells weed, and he's got this huge operation. And it's also based off a true story. But I thought it was very interesting because the directing style wasn't just like up front with it. It came from this place of this like reporter that was kind of following him around and sneaking him around and trying to like tell the story from his eyes. So it was real cool. A lot of twists and turns in it. Really good movie though. I'd rate it probably a solid 7 out of 10. Definitely a must rent from Redbox if you do that.
Sounds like kind of like that movie about the Rock Cats, Almost Famous.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I think there's like some like young rock journalist that follows this rock band around or something like that. It has that kind of motif to it, from the documentor's perspective.
Word. I'm gonna check that out.
But
I like
talking
movies
about
like
drug
that.
movies, man. I mean, hey, I'm a fan of the cult classic Scarface
Oh yeah, that's a
with
super
Al
classic.
Pacino, man.
Yeah, like one thing I find interesting about Scarface that I feel like never really gets highlighted is the fact that like who turned him on to sniffing the cocaine at first, which was his first boss's wife, that he ended up marrying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember the names off the top of my head, but I always thought that was like interesting part that was never highlighted because you see him at the end just like going so crazy, and to me that was kind of like from what I noticed in the movie, the start of that.
Well, he had embarked on a lot of things. I mean, you remember at the beginning of the movie, man, he's in a refugee camp, and in order to get a green card, he ends up having to murder some Cuban diplomat or crime lord or something like that.
Yeah, facts. Like,
So, he starts off with a nefarious, like, beginning and everything. And, it's just kind of a tragic end to living a life of excess and,
yeah,
letting that coke man really get to him, man. Dude, that famous scene where he's sniffing that mountain of cocaine and everything,
yeah, man.
And then his, like, overprotective thing. Me and my sister was talking about this the other day, Shy. You remember about his sister and everything? How overprotective he was?
Yeah. He was so overprotective. I mean, kind of insane with it. And a lifestyle like that, you don't expect to last for long.
Yeah, man.
True.
Indeed. And, he definitely meets a tragic end, which, that was actually based off in another original black and white film called Scarface and everything. And but the guy gets tied up in
Yeah.
his apartment or something like that, for a big shootout and stuff instead of a big mansion like in the Al Pacino one. But nonetheless, they paid a good homage to it, and everything. It was nice. But there's gangster genres like that. You got to definitely throw Godfather in there, Goodfellas. You know what I'm saying? Those are top top shelf movies of that genre.
Speaking of like those type of scenes, like I don't know if the listeners have seen Belly, and where they're in the mansion, you know what I'm saying? He's like, I am the original Jamaican Don Dada, and he's like, he kills the entire squad, and then the Raven comes and jumps behind him and slices his neck in the right before Belly ends.
Yeah, that's the way Scarface ends and stuff, not with
Yeah.
the slicing of the neck, but he gets shot in the back. That whole scene pretty much paid, homage to that ending of that Al Pacino scene,
Yeah.
And his was done with the lights off in the mansion, if you remember. It was done in the dark.
Yeah, and all the red lights flashing. Not to take anything away from the Scarface scene, but that was definitely one of my favorites. Like, I felt like he held his own in that scene.
Sure. Oh yeah, I mean, for y'all's generation, yeah, definitely Belly pretty much restated, what Scarface did in my time and everything in my generation. But that's the gangster films, man. I mean, let's get into some other stuff, man. We got drama, we got thrillers, we got horror. I'm a big horror film fan, man. The B movies like Friday the 13th and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think we should let Chef Mac take.
Okay, so.
Or Shy, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You can, Chef can start now. I'll go ahead.
What am I doing? What am I talking about? I'm busy. I'm drawing something.
Oh, okay, word.
Okay, well, let's try a movie together.
Yeah.
Talking about horror. I picked a. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw Billy's mouth moving. I thought he was saying something.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I think that the video is off. Well, anyway, the movie that I have is Dawn of the Dead. Now, this is the one with Bing, and there's several people in it right now. He's the only one that I can think of. Now, that is really good. I love that one. You can't beat the first version, but of course they came out with part 2. It's Land of the Dead. It's very Hollywood. I just don't enjoy that one much, but I definitely recommend the first one when it comes to, I mean, I'm not so much a zombie person, but that is the one I have watched recently. So.
Okay.
I know Chef Mac is
Hold
a
on.
big zombie fan.
Are we talking about OG Dawn of the Dead, or are we talking about the newest one, 2004, or the 1978?
Oh, this is the newest one with Bing.
Okay. The one I've seen is the one, the original one, directed by George Romero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's like the father of the modern zombie.
Yeah, indeed, he sure is. And what is it? Is it Night of the Living? Excuse me, Night of the Living Dead with whoa, now this pollen. The Night of the Living Dead with the one I think we mentioned on the other podcast where actually the black guy survives at the end, but then he gets shot.
Oh yeah, that's a very old one. Yeah, that's the one in black and white.
Yeah, that's Night of the Living Dead, and then Dawn of the Dead was done in the 70s, I believe.
Yep, 1978.
Yeah.
Those black and white movies. I think I've only watched 2, and like one Clerks, and then the other being the beginning of Wizard of Oz. Other than that, I've never watched a black and white movie.
What? Oh man, my sister
never watched
and I, we
Frankenstein?
watched old school movies.
You
never seen Frank Dracula with Bela Lugosi?
Nope.
Oh man, yeah, I got to get your hip, my guy. And Shy, she's been watching movies and stuff with Marilyn Monroe.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, when you said that, I had to think of some Marilyn Monroe movies, and I made some notes. And some of my I love Marilyn Monroe, but some all-time favorites is there's this one thriller that she was in called Night, and she actually plays a villain in that one, and it's really good. But she can be really funny. She was really funny too, and she had her comedy moments, her comedic moments. Let me see what's on my list. um, 7-Year Itch. Now I think that's the one that you and Jolene saw, Billy. Remember that's the
Yeah.
one where the husbands would the wives would leave and then the husbands would play. You remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, Marilyn, you can imagine her part there because she wasn't the wife that left.
No.
Yeah, but that's a good one. And there's another one with Cary Grant called The Misfits. I really like that one. That's a good one. I think you saw that one too, Billy.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the one where they're on the farm and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've actually seen some of the old school flicks, man. Even going way back to I've even seen like the Charlie Chaplin stuff before and everything, you know. And Shy, you know, me and you grew up watching like, you know, the Three Stooges and the Little Rascals and stuff like that. You know, on TV and everything. You know, I mean, I know that's kind of getting out of movies, but yeah, man. What, say it again, Shy?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I was talking about that. I think maybe yesterday with Dad, they had so many episodes, Three Stooges episodes and DVDs, and I found one in the shed earlier today. I'm like, see, Dad, here's another one. So he has pretty much a collection of Three Stooges.
Indeed. Well, get back on the horror tip, man. Like I was saying before, you know, me personally, you know, I'm a throwback to the 80s. And actually, the first film that really got me into horror was Friday the 13th Part 3, because we were living in Los Angeles at the time. And that one actually came out in 3D. Whoa. So, you know, yeah, Jason was like coming at you, trying to kill you and stuff in 3D in the film and everything, man. And I was a little kid at the time, and I got hooked. And it was the third one in the series. But I eventually saw Part 1 and 2 and loved it pretty much right up to Part 4, and then it got a little wacky after that. But, you know, I'm such a big Jason Voorhees fan. You know, I kept up with it, but it was definitely interesting.
You were loyal.
Oh, man, I still am. I mean, I even got the bad ones, man, like Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I mean, oh, my God. You have to be a Jason head to have that in your collection, man, because that one is booty.
Did you ever see Jason Goes to Hell?
Oh, that one is pretty booty too. Yeah, where his spirit is like jumping in people's bodies. And guess what, Chef Mac, I own that one too, man. Like that's yeah. I am a fanboy. I suck like that. Oh, hey, Scoob, did you notice that too? The guys are trying to FaceTime us.
Yeah, I seen that, bro.
Yeah, man. These guys, man, damn it, we take care of business, fellas.
Oh God.
But at any rate, that's me on Jason. Chef Mac, you was talking about Saw earlier.
Yeah, I just recently rewatched all of them, including the newest one, which is Jigsaw. And those movies were crazy. And that first one came out in 2004, and me and Alan and my dad went to go see it in the movie theaters. I was 4 at the time when that came out.
Oh,
I was sitting in the movie theaters watching some guy cut his leg off.
Pretty freaky.
Yeah, man. And you know, I love, you know, the beauty of Saw is how they tie all the movies together, man. Yeah. I mean, it really is just like how the name of the killer is Jigsaw, man. It's pieced together like a puzzle, man. It's beautifully done.
It is.
I know that's kind of a weird word to use for horror, beautiful, but I mean, it was well put together, man. Even with the thing with the guy cutting his foot off, they tied that into later movies where the chain was still there and it was just nothing but bones of the guy. You know?
Yeah. And to see what that guy becomes from that, you know, like, because, like, it's weird that most of the people that were in the contraptions, like, were bad people, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? So I think a few were, like, drug addicts and things like that. But, like, not to spoil the movie, but I remember it was this one scene where I think is what started it all off, where it was this junkie guy where his wife was pregnant at work, and he opened up the door and killed the baby, and that's what kind of sparked him to just start doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, his wife was pregnant and everything, and the guy, you know, shoved the door open and stuff because she worked at a hospital, and he's coming in to try to get some drugs and stuff, some prescription drugs. And yeah, that kind of set him off. That, and as well as him being diagnosed with cancer and stuff, there was all these compounding things, what was his name? Like John Kramer or something like
Kramer,
that?
yep.
Yeah. And, he was just really methodical. But, it's just like the kind of torture he put those people through just because he felt that they wouldn't live in their life to the fullest. They wouldn't live in their best life. And he felt like, he was the judge and put them in these situations, man. He was insidious.
Yeah, in fact.
Smart, though.
Judge, jury.
Say that again, Shy.
I just said judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah, and this. Well, I can't remember if it was the first or second one where it was about, it kind of reminded me of that movie Seven with Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, where he was kind of like, people like living their worst, like living in sin or something like that, one of the major sins. And I know in one of the Saw movies, I think one of the guys was like a glutton or something, like, he was really obese and just ate a lot or whatever. And am I remembering this right? No, I think that's the wrong thing. It was the one where the guy, had to crawl through all that barbed wire.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Now, was that something to do with him being like, a glutton or?
Yeah.
Okay, I was right about that. But like, I remember when they showed him, man, how his body was all contorted in the barbed wire. I was just like, whoa, dude.
Man, yeah, it was disgusting. Like, I remember watching it as a kid, being like, I can't believe someone really sat there and thought up this,
I thought one of the worst parts was when his assistant, I don't know what you would call her.
Yeah, the
but
prodigy.
The woman that was, the one that was going to take over his place. You remember, she just really wanted to kill. And when they got the cop and they put her up like that, she didn't have a chance to put her hand in the acid, and then they just ripped her.
Yeah.
It's like, that was horrible. That was such a horrible.
Oh, what about the one dude
God.
that the guy, he had that one guy that was going through all of it, and it was it was all these different people that were connected to the accidental killing of his son. His son got ran over, you remember?
Yeah.
And it was all these different people that was
favorite.
connected to it. And you remember the one with the judge inside with all the pigs being slaughtered, and like all the pig guts and stuff were all coming down on the guy and stuff like that. And dude had a chance to like, release him from that or let him like suffocate in all the like pig guts.
Yeah.
And then the one with the guy, the brother that actually I think ran over his kid. You remember he had him in one of those devices. I think that girl created that device and he couldn't escape from it. His head got twisted and his arms got twisted. His head was the last thing to twist, but it was like first his legs, I think, and then his arms.
Yeah.
And then yeah, man.
I'm
Stars
sure
twisted.
the first one. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorites was like the one where it was like a team building exercise, and like they all could have made it out if they would have worked together, but they were just like so like for themselves that they ended up getting to this one part where they was in the bathtub and they had to like, give blood, and if all of them were there, they could have just gave a little bit, but because like everyone else had died, they had to give like way more.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one that was. But
that's either 4 or 5. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I can't remember which one it was with the, another insidious thing about it, not just Kramer, but he was influencing like other people to do it, like that cop and like Shai said, that girl. And you remember that one cop that was, he had tracked it down and found out that it was that other cop that was involved. And you remember what happened to him at the end with that that smashing machine or whatever?
Yep.
He was inside that glass container.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And
He could have got out
remember,
of that.
the very first one, the one that cut off his foot, the very first one, he was his helper at the end. He was the one that was,
right.
Yeah, you remember?
Yeah, the
I
dentist.
loved how they brought it all the way.
I agree.
Besides Saw, man, I was talking about the B movies, man. What do you guys think of Nightmare on Elm Street?
One of my favorites.
Yeah. And Scooby, you need to move your head because we're just looking at your man boobs right now. But we played baseball on Elm Street.
What?
Yep.
Not only that, like it was one of the only little league fields that had lights, and like So we were playing like at night, you know what I'm saying, on Elm Street. It was like pretty fucking freaky. I remember after watching the movie the first time and putting two and two together, I was like, what in the world, you know? Gonna find out there's an
Word.
entity in like every city in the entire United States.
Man, like Freddy Krueger said in the movie, man, there's an Elm Street everywhere, man. You know?
Yeah, it's like Street. Main Street is everywhere.
Yeah, indeed. Man, the very first one though, man, you know, I remember there was two really trippy scenes in that really tripped me out as a kid. The one where he's walking through the alley and he extends his arms.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, that one. And then the one where they're
Oh,
like, you know, the girl is daydreaming in the classroom and she goes outside and she sees that dead girl in that body bag being pulled by some invisible force.
Yeah. See, I was such a
Now I have
kid,
to
I don't
say,
remember.
no, can you say that again?
I was just saying, like, I was like a kid when I watched a lot of those scary movies, so like these details y'all are talking about, I don't particularly remember, you know?
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah. Well, I just have to say before we go into a few modern movies, there's probably, I'm sure that Billy knows, but one of the main stars that was in Nightmare on Elm Street 1 was Johnny Depp.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
and guess what? In the first Friday the 13th movie, Kevin Bacon was in that.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You remember he gets
That's
his throat.
right.
Remember that he gets stabbed through the throat.
Oh, that's right. You know, Billy, I'm glad that we had that. You remember how we were watching movies together? We had that whole thing about Nightmare on Elm Street. And
Yeah,
that kind of refreshed my memory with those movies.
indeed. Well, you were talking about getting into the modern movies.
There's one more horror movie I would like to mention real quick that has a special place in me and Scooby's heart because it scared the shit out of both of us. And that's the original Poltergeist.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm so glad you.
that's one of the greatest horror movies of all time. You just named there, Chef Mac.
scared the shit out of us.
Me, him, and our dad was watching Poltergeist making dinner, and as soon as the movie ended, like as soon as it ended, a transformer blew out and our power went out.
Oh wow.
And like our
Oh,
grandma, like just before we watched the movie, she was like, she didn't want us to watch it, but my dad was like, we're gonna watch it anyway. And she kept saying, like, when you watch scary movies, demons come out of your like VCR or DVD player. So like, freak the fuck out.
Oh,
But like
man.
the Ring,
grandma-
like after we watched the Ring, my nose started bleeding. You know, crazy stuff with horror movies like that have happened a lot.
You know, Poltergeist has a lot of classic scenes, man, like with the little girl skidding across in the kitchen. You know, dude that was like tearing his face apart because he was looking in the mirror and he thought that his face was coming apart because he saw that scar start peeling at it. And one of the craziest scene though, like when it was getting towards the end and dude's like trying to pull his wife back with the rope, and then he ends up pulling that big ghost monster face out of the closet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man, classic.
Well, Billy, I have to tell you. Billy, I have to tell you that I made a mistake and I went against your advice and I watched the new Poltergeist. Oh, what did I do?
Oh yeah, I told you, man. It don't hold up.
Yeah, it really doesn't hold up. It's pretty disappointing. I mean, the little girl she's just as adorable as the other one. You know, I love her. The actors are great. And they do the best that they can do with what they got. You know, the script thing. But overall, it's like the story, and you're comparing it it didn't have the same. To tell you the truth, I was ready for it to be over about 30 minutes into it, probably.
You know, the beauty of that old school era in the 80s, man, is all those movies had their own little plots, man. They, you know, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they were completely two different types of movies. You know, Poltergeist was its own movie. I think what's wrong with Hollywood now is they keep trying to reach back into that heyday and recapture
It's
some
too
of that
many
magic.
remakes.
Yeah, man, and they fall short, man. You know, the prequels have done better jobs. Like when they did that prequel to The Thing, that was a great remake. You know, they stayed with the rules of what made the original thing scary, but they modernized the story, even though it was a prequel and it happened before the events of the original, but it was the modern take.
I've never seen the
Yeah,
thing.
I
Oh,
absolutely
it's a great.
agree.
There's only 2 in the series, but it's the original from the 80s with Kurt Russell, and then there's this remake, or rather this prequel. And the prequel is the best, one of the best, if not the best horror prequel I've seen, so far.
I watched Armageddon for the first time last night, and it's a fucking like I didn't realize how much of a classic it was until I like sat there and started watching it and really kind of like just like I watched it but I kind of studied it and like they had like an amazing plot like okay you got NASA that can't save the world so they get this guy that works on an oil rig to like come drill a hole in this big asteroid so you're playing on like both sides of the arena you get like all the like the working class Americans like involved in this movie about space and like there were so many famous actors in there that I didn't realize that went on to play like amazing roles and I don't know it was a really 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 good movie. I enjoyed it. Just a sidebar.
That's awesome one. And the guys, they're just these they're not your ordinary what you would hey, what was that famous line that you love so much, Billy, when that guy called them the wrong stuff?
Oh yeah, because the movie The Right Stuff is about those astronauts.
Yeah, they weren't the wrong stuff, but they were so different from what what normally they would normally train to go into space. So that just made everything just so different. You would never expect those kind of guys, and loved every last one of them.
Yeah.
It was a great film. I think that there was a lot of kind of like hokey moments in it though that I think some people didn't really give the movie its complete props, like the love thing between Ben Affleck's character and Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Like they had like one scene where he has like an animal cracker, he's dancing on her belly, and people are all like, "Oh man, the hell with that scene!" And they just had a lot of cutesy scenes like that. Because it's like, I mean, really, man, the world's about to blow up, and y'all playing with animal crackers on Liv Tyler's belly. Come on now.
That was corny.
It brought up an interesting thing though, is like an animal cracker a cracker, because like crackers you put cheese on. Like
I don't think they were going for that though.
I know. I thought about that for like a good 20 minutes after that scene.
But no, hey, Scoob, I agree though. Overall, man, a lot of people may not want to admit it, but it is a good movie. It's just like nowadays, people don't like to admit that Independence Day was a great movie. They act like if you admit that's a great movie. Yeah, I've talked to people where they're like, talk about, some of the so-called corny moments in that movie and stuff, with like Will Smith, like when he first meets the alien and then he like gives, decks him and stuff with a right cross and he's like, welcome to Earth. It's just kind of like, dude, really? You're going to be that ballsy? You just see an alien life form for the first time and you're going to give it a right cross? Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, for real.
But other than that, again,
Men in Black training.
Yeah, Men in Black. Now, I haven't heard a lot of bad slack about that, but I will say by the third movie, I think it lost some of the people that dug it. But I thought it was a great completion. I thought the third movie rounded it off very well.
The third movie, Men in Black movie, is my favorite Men in Black movie.
Because, we get a chance to see, Agent, is it not Smith? Tommy Lee Jones.
Agent
K.
Agent K, yeah. Seeing Agent K as a young man paired up with Will Smith, I love that. That was great. That reminded me, like, even though it's not really like this and it's kind of deviating from a different thing going into sci-fi, but have you guys seen Star Trek Generations? When they have like Captain Picard and then they have Captain Kirk in the same damn movie, even though they're separated by like almost 100 years.
No, I've never seen that.
But in the movie, there's this thing called a nexus that kind of bends space-time, and they end up finding themselves in the same moment in time and everything in the movie. And it's the only Star Trek movie that has these two captains in the same time frame,
Huh.
It's
Yeah.
like having like, Darth Maul and Darth Vader in the same movie.
That would be fun. What were you saying?
That would be fun.
I said, like, movies that just involve time travel are some of my favorite movies.
Have you ever seen Time Machine, Steven Spielberg's Time Machine? That's a great one. They actually go so far. Well, no, actually, no. I'm mixing it up. I'm thinking of AI. The one where it's the little kid robot and they go so far to the future.
Oh yeah,
But that's not a time traveling one. That's not a time
That's-
traveling one. But that is a
But,
great one. But no, Time Machine, I believe maybe is a Spielberg movie, but they also go real far to the future, like Planet of the Apes type shit, 10,000 years into the future type shit. But Back to the Future to me
now
is the
that's
best time traveling
nice
series. Back to the Future is the best time traveling series as far as film go, because it had comedy and all the cool special effects of time travel and manipulating time.
Look, I had to pull this up. I don't know if you can see this, but can you see what this is?
Pull it up higher.
Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
I
Indeed.
pulled that up for you. And before we get too far, I pulled this up for you, Hunter.
Solid, man.
Nice.
Hey.
But yeah, man,
Yeah,
I thought that Back to the Future was it just had all the comedy stuff that you would want. As far as a serious time traveling movie, as far as, good ones and stuff, Minority Report is interesting, like having like a law system set up, and if someone breaks the law in the future, you can arrest them in present time.
Have you ever seen Project Almanac? It's a series film. Like, have you seen Blair Witch?
Oh yeah.
It's a series film like that. So it's like somebody filming this. But this guy, he finds his dad's old projects about time travel, and they build the time machine. And it's cool. They build it out of an Xbox 360, and they do time machine stuff. And they realize that it needs to be destroyed. But then they create a paradox, and they find the camera from the original timeline where they did all the time travel, and then we would assume that it starts again and they built the time machine again. But,
Oh wow, yeah, that is a paradox.
Oh,
yeah.
I like it.
Have you ever heard of a movie? It's actually underground. It was an independent film called Primer.
Mm-mm.
That's also based on time travel. These two, you seen that, Shy?
Did you say, wait, Trimmer?
No,
Which one did you say?
Primer. Primer. Yeah. No, not Tremors. No. Primer is it's a time traveling thing, and it's about these two college.
Okay.
Yeah, it's these two college students that end up creating this device that allows them to go back in time, and it's okay, but it's kind of heady and everything. But another good one that wasn't even based on a machine, Butterfly Effect.
Oh yeah.
I love that movie.
The first one in particular, they have a follow-up that's interesting, but the original one with Ashton Kutcher is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts.
Have you ever seen the alternative ending where he actually he actually kills himself
as a baby?
Yeah,
in the womb.
Yeah, exactly. He gets his umbilical cord and suffocates himself or chokes himself or something.
Wow. Yeah. That's deep. That's really deep.
Yeah, because in the film, he just goes back to the moment in time where he meets the girl that ends up being in his life as little kids and tells her he doesn't like her. So inevitably they don't grow up with each other. And in the film, that thwarts all the events that would come thereafter. He just went all the way back to when they were little kids. But he went beyond that point where you remember he went back to when they were little kids and her father was having them do those dirty movies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But he went further back in time than that to when they were 7 or 8. And he's all like, I don't like you, don't come around me anymore. And she starts crying. But he did that so all the events that he ends up doing to her later on wouldn't play out in all the different timelines.
Damn. Yeah,
man.
What?
Butterfly Effect is one of my favorites.
I kind of remember that one, but he was making her life worse, right?
Yeah, he would try to go back and not only making her life worse, but his own life. He went to prison for murdering her brother one time. He kept on making decisions that just ended up being worse every instance and stuff. I think the prison one was the worst because he killed her brother and stuff, and ended up in prison. And then you remember he would write in his diary, and that's how he would time travel and stuff. He would write out what would happen or something, or would return back to an event in his diary and go and revisit that moment. Could you imagine that, going back in your diary and revisiting moments that you wrote years ago?
Yeah, that'd be nuts. That'd be cool, but at the same time, be I don't know if I'd want to fuck with anything.
Well, that's why it was called the butterfly effect. I mean, yeah, the butterfly effect, because, based off the premise of a butterfly's wings flapping on one side of the world can create like a typhoon on some other part of the world or something.
I had actually thought about like a concept
But yeah,
album with playing off of that, just like one event translates to another event, you know what I'm saying? And by the end of the album, it would be like, not one person, but just like the butterfly effect happening and shit. Like, you're in the grocery store and the first song is about like, the dude going to the grocery store and he sneezes, and when they sneeze, he sneezes on somebody else, and that guy gets like super pissed off and goes home and does something crazy, and then that like transfers into something else. Like just that concept of the butterfly effect has always been fascinating to me.
The reality, well, I should say reality, but the theory rather of actually completely freezing or stopping time, what the irony would be is you actually wouldn't see anything, because light particles and all the stuff that define the shapes of things and atoms and all this, all that would freeze, and it would just actually be a blanketed state, like pure white or pure black or whatever, but you wouldn't see objects because everything would be frozen, including light.
That's kind of like how in the Flash, I don't know much about it. I've only know through Hunter really, but like when he slows down time, he doesn't stop time. He slows it down.
Well, the faster you go through time, yeah, it slows down. The theory of relativity thing. With the speed of light is constant and everything. And when something approaches the speed of light, the events that are playing out starts to slow down, as it were. At least that's the theory. No one has actually traveled that fast, but, based on what we have observed with light in itself, it's a sound theory,
I know a smooth transition and still kind of in the time travel thing is the new Avengers. Don't they time travel in that?
Yeah, and they actually base that off of quantum mechanics. You know what I'm saying? Like, time traveling through the premise of, traveling through the quantum world, as opposed to just, whimsically just, appearing in another time, but like, apparently like with photons and stuff, there's some sort of form of time travel that could happen with photons. They could appear at two different places at the same time, at two different points in time. Like here's a photon, and then 30 seconds later, there's another photon that's the same photon, but they're in the same time frame. Like say right now we're talking, and then the versions of us that's going to be saying whatever we're going to say 5 minutes from now, but they merge in this moment with us right now instead of 5 minutes from now.
Yeah.
It's like a convergence of time, as it were.
That's one thing I enjoyed about. I'm not a superhero guy. I'll let y'all, take the reins on that. But the new Avengers movie was like really good, and also the last Wolverine movie was really good. I don't know if they're in the same universe or whatever, like Marvel or what. I don't know, but those two movies I felt like were really good as far as superhero movies go. What's y'all's favorite superhero movie?
I liked it. I didn't like what they did to my boy the Hulk, as I've told y'all before, man. I don't like them having Thanos and stuff just waxing him like that. I get that they wanted to make him really menacing, and by taking out the strongest, hero, as it were, it would make him look that much more menacing. But I'm like, dude, they could have made him scrap a little more. I mean, he took the Hulk out in like 10 seconds, man. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the Hulk, dude, the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they had Iron Man at least throw a little bit better, hands at him and stuff, man. Iron Man was throwing some hands at him before he went down. I'm like, you don't have Iron Man throwing hands at Thanos, but the Hulk, bah, 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 and he done. Man, they kicked my ass. That's the only thing I hated about that. And then that was the first one. The second one, they turned him into a damn scientist. And I know that's a part of the, comic book lore and stuff, the smart Hulk. But I'm like, everybody wanted the Raging Hulk to come back and have a rematch. That's what everybody was waiting on, and he didn't even get the rematch. Goddamn it, Thor just cuts his head off, and then they started going back and forth in time all over again. And I don't know, man. Avengers on that last one kind of lost me a little bit because there was so much shit going on.
I feel that. As someone that hasn't watched,
go
ahead, Sha.
No, I haven't watched really too many superhero movies. I don't have a favorite superhero, but I have watched Batman, and I got part 3 with the Riddler and Jim Carrey. I like that one. I couldn't go any further because, the last one was part for that was on this disc, and I couldn't get through it with Arnold Schwarzenegger as this Iceman.
Oh yeah, Dr.
It
Freeze.
just, yeah, okay, and so that's been my closest experience right now to superhero movies.
And you're talking about the Michael Keaton ones, that's the throwback ones and stuff. The cats now, they're all into the Christopher Nolan ones with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
They're really into that one. And Shy, hey, you remember you was a big fan of Christopher Reeves as Superman, and the modern Superman, Henry Cavill or Cavill, however you say his name.
Oh yeah, now Superman, I should have thought about Superman. I actually have all of this, Reed Superman. So I have 1 through 4. So I'm definitely a huge fan of that one. There was one point when we liked Supergirl, remember?
For a hot second, yeah.
For like this second. Wonder Woman was a part of my life, a big part of my life when I was a kid.
Hey,
But
Shy.
I have a new one.
You remember? I remember, man. Used to make me laugh. Used to always be like when that one part in the original Superman where he gets the kryptonite put around his neck, and that girl, lifts it out. My sister used to feel such pity for Superman. She was more in love with Superman when he was vulnerable than when he was super. She's all like, she wanted to be the one to save him and stuff. Like, oh, Superman, he's so beautiful. And I'm like, he's at his weakest right now. How can he be the most beautiful? She's like, I want to save him.
That's crazy.
And then the woman that took the kryptonite off of him, it's like, I need to be her. I need to be in that position.
And then she gets that sneak kiss in.
Yeah, she tried to sneak a kiss in. I'm like, I saw that.
Hey, she saving Superman, though. She felt she had to get something for that.
Yeah, little something.
Hey, with somebody like Superman, you got to sneak a kiss in every once in a while. I mean, look how Lois Lane was. She couldn't help herself.
You got me. Well, who's got you? Hey, well, look. What about movies with twisted plots? Like, I can think of one real quick. Mulholland Drive. I don't know if you guys are hip to that.
Oh, that's a great one. Oh, I love that.
Where it's all like based on, I think once they open up that box in the middle of the movie, somewhere in the movie, then the whole entire movie changes after that.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That sounds good.
I can't even explain it. It's a hard one to explain. You just have to watch it. But for all those watching out there, Mulholland Drive is definitely one of the twisted mind crazy movies. And if you ever heard of what is it, Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio?
That's a great movie.
Oh,
Yeah, that was.
yeah.
Where
That's
you think that he's like all investigating, but come to find out he's actually one of the people that's in the hospital.
Oh,
I
man.
don't
That
think
blew
he's the
my
person
mind.
in the hospital.
one of the worst ones.
Oh wait, Chef Back, you said you don't think he was one of the people in the hospital?
I think they're fucking with him. I think he got too close. They're like,
I'll have to rewatch it and consider that perspective because you're like following him and he's supposedly, I think, trying to figure out a crime that happened inside the hospital or institution.
Yeah,
And then
someone
somewhere
went
down
missing.
the line it's
someone
revealed
went
that
missing.
yeah, and then it's revealed that he actually was
Missing person.
an inmate or whatever have you himself. That also it makes me think of also Fight Club.
Yeah, that was a crazy one too.
Where you think that he's doing that with a partner with Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt was just a construct in his mind.
Man.
Same with like Inception, like the ending of Inception, he's spinning the top, and you don't get to see if it falls or not.
Right.
Yeah, that one fucked me up too.
Oh yeah, Inception. It's so many layers because you're in a dream, dreaming in a dream. It's like whoa.
Oh yeah, too much.
I love Inception. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. I've seen that so many times.
I actually kind of forgot. Was Leonardo DiCaprio trying to find his wife in his dreams or something?
His wife was trying to kill him.
No,
in
his
dream.
wife was.
Like
His wife was
haunting
trying
him.
to kill him?
Yeah, like she committed suicide, I believe, and she was just kind of haunting his dreams.
Because like
Oh. And
Like,
the spinning top meant that you were still dreaming.
If it didn't fall, you were dreaming.
Oh, if the top fell, you were dreaming.
And they thought that they were
so.
like one dream away. Like if they killed themselves one more time, then they would go back to the real world. But Leonardo DiCaprio thought they were already in the real world.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting to remember now. Hey, that makes me think of another thing talking about false realities. You remember the Truman Show?
Oh, that was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that was such a good movie.
Man.
Ed Harris is like playing God. I love that one scene where, he finally kind of reveals himself in the sky, where Jim Carrey's going through that, that storm and stuff out there in the water. And then eventually he makes it daytime, and then he speaks to him, and he's all like, I am the creator of the Truman Show.
Yeah. Man.
But yeah, man,
see-
just those just those mind twist movies and stuff, man. There's a whole bunch of them I'm kind of missing on now because I really like those kind of movies. Like another Jim Carrey one is what is it? Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, that was kind of a heavy one. You could actually get someone erased from your life through your dreams or something like that. They make you forget about them and stuff. It's kind of hard to explain. You have to watch it, but it's a great Jim Carrey movie. He actually does a lot of good side movies, man. You ever see that movie 23?
That's one of my all-time favorites too. Like that was shit like fucked me up as a kid, bro. I remember doing math. You know what I'm saying? Trying to see if my shit equaled 23.
How about Total Recall for a mind twist movie?
Oh, yes.
That's good.
And you know what? Just like that other one you just said, Hunter, when that movie ends, you're not sure.
Yeah, you
because
don't know
everything
if
that
he's
happens in
doing
the
it.
movies is exactly like the package that he orders. He gets
Yeah.
the girl, Mars ends up having an atmosphere. And you remember the girl says, he has that one little moment, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is like, you know what? I just had a bad thought. What if this is a dream? And the girl's like, well, kiss me now before you wake up. And then he kisses her, and then it just fades to black. So you don't never know if he actually woke up and it was just all a part of that Total Recall package. What about 12 Monkeys?
Never seen that.
I've never seen that.
Oh, look, that's a time traveling movie and a mind twist movie and stuff, man. Bruce Willis, it's definitely a good one because, like, it kind of harkens to what we're going through now, man. In the future, some sort of virus ends up killing off the majority of the population of humankind. And so they end up inventing a time machine, and they go back to try to find remnants of life to bring to the future so they can study how it survived in a contaminated atmosphere. That's the premise of it. But the story is all over the place because he's traveling back and forth to different points in time. There's even a moment where he doesn't even believe that he's even doing it, because it's so weird. But anyway, that's enough on that. I could go all day on that particular one, but it's kind of twisted.
Shit, what
Have you
about
ever seen Looper?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
What's another one you say?
Looper is another Bruce Willis time traveling movie.
I've heard of. I think I've seen it maybe once. It seemed like I rented it, but I can't remember it right offhand.
It's pretty good.
It's like his past and future self, right?
Yep.
Speaking of Bruce Willis,
There's this one Willis movie. Oh.
No, go ahead, Sha.
Go ahead. I think I got a delay here. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, speaking of Bruce Willis and maybe going into holiday movies, is Die Hard the original Christmas movie?
Oh yes, indeed. John McClane all day. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I've even actually seen the first one. I've only seen the most recent one that came out.
Man, it's all about the first one, man. I think that last one was Die Free or something like that, whatever. But,
Yeah.
That first one, man, where that character first comes to life, man, you got to see it, man. Seeing John McClane and how he is, just a regular dude that's just trying to get home to stuff that plays out. It's a great movie. And, Bruce Willis actually started off on television, man. He was on a TV show called Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd.
Wow.
Yeah, and he played a private investigator and stuff with her. And you could tell he had star power even on the TV show and stuff. And I think Die Hard is what set the stage for him to be a major, blockbuster star.
Yeah, Die Hard was a good movie.
One of my favorite Willis movies, Bruce Willis movies is called Surrogate. Have you guys ever heard of that one?
What? Say it again.
He it's one of my favorite Bruce Willis movies. It's called Surrogate. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I don't think I've been
Well,
to that one.
it's pretty much the way we're living now online times 1,000, and they have gotten to the point where they have these artificial bodies, so they don't even leave out of their houses. They just get into these chairs, they hook up, and their artificial bodies are the ones that go out about the day, but they can see, hear, and feel and touch through those artificial bodies. Oh, it's such a amazing futuristic movie. It's so different. I really love it. I highly recommend that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check that one out. That sounds good.
You know, that reminds me
Yeah.
of the topic we were talking about on gaming last week, about like where gaming may go to the future, like stepping into some kind of, simulated machine where you live like some sort of artificial lifestyle or, some alternate life, and don't have to ever unplug from it, kind of like The Matrix. Speaking of movies like that, The Matrix pretty much speaks on that.
Yeah, the
Which
Matrix
is one of my favorite sci-fi
Matrix.
movies. They're making a Matrix 4 right
Mine
now.
too.
I'm interested to see that. I'm
What?
gonna definitely have to go back and watch all of them before I watch the fourth one.
Yeah, because if you remember in the
can't-
series,
They're
you
making
remember.
a part.
Didn't Keanu Reeves die? I knew that may have been a spoiler, but didn't he die?
Well, okay, see, this is what I was going to explain. If you all remember in the
That's-
second one, in Reloaded, when he finally meets the architect, you remember there was a whole bunch of Neos, and they all had different missions and stuff. Some like succeeded and decided one thing or the other. So I think it's going to be based
Yeah.
off the premise of one of those particular Neos, living his life out and what he decides to do. And, that's
But I
just,
thought
I'm just
Neo
assuming.
one. Neo was supposed to be the one, so
Well, that's the thing. You remember when he got to the architect, he found like there were many ones, and he had to believe in himself. And you remember it showed all those
Yeah.
different reactions with all those different screens on how all those different ones reacted once they got to the architect. And yeah, some cursed them out, some were really stoic. They had various reactions, and his reaction was his own. He decided to go. Remember, he flew at super speed to save Trinity. He didn't take the door that would have saved mankind. He took the option to save Trinity. He would be fast enough to do both, but he wasn't. Because you remember the machines ultimately did come down to Zion, and they ended up having to fight. If he would have chose the other door instead of saving Trinity, that wouldn't have happened. The machines would have stopped. But hell, at the end of the day, Neo still saved the damn AA.
Is Zion? Is that a real place? Because when you said that, all I can think of is the Fuji song. It might be a Lauryn Hill song, but
No. I mean, it's it's spoken of like in the Bible and stuff like that, and people Jewish background, speak of Zion and stuff like that, But Zion in the movie was like the last city of Judah, and I think it has some kind of religious connotations to it, being that it's related to something, of a religious doctrine nature or whatever have you.
okay, cool. Yeah,
Well, speaking of which, what about those kinds of movies? You guys are into movies like about possession or exorcism, like The Exorcist, or?
I watched a few as a kid, but like I'm gonna be honest, like when it came to like shit that like it seemed like it could really happen, like exorcism, I didn't fuck off too much because my grandparents scared the shit out of me when it came to that. But yeah, that's something that I'm blanking on the name of the movie right now. Maybe it'll come back to me. But if I'm not mistaken, it's not a movie. It's a show, and it's called Bandersnatch, a Broken Mirror, Black Mirror, or something like that. It's on Netflix.
Oh, I've heard of that, Black Mirror, yeah.
And like there's the movie that came out, it's called Bandersnatch, and you as the person that's watching it actually get to choose what happens in the movie. So it's like an interactive movie.
Oh.
Yeah, and like it brought the idea of, imagine if you were just a character and there was somebody outside making choices for you, but you thought it was your own choice because in the movie he thinks it's his own choice. That was a really trippy movie. Black
You know
Mirror.
how often I've like laid in bed thinking that it's just a person putting the controller down. Like, all right, we're gonna take a break from video gaming, and you know.
Well, to consider that would mean that there's no such thing as free will.
Yeah, and I can't go with that. I don't know.
Oh no, it's just one of them thoughts. Like, you know, what if? I don't think there is, because I believe in free will.
Well, Chef Mac, I got a secret I gotta tell you, man. I've actually been quietly controlling you from over here at my place this entire time.
Dang, I always thought
man.
there was somebody.
Hey, man. Well, there you go.
Now you know.
Oh, hey, Billy.
Well, hey,
what game? I was going to say, remember that game, The Sims? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you know what? Scooby had mentioned on our gaming show about, like, you know, he thought the future of gaming would be like we would all pretty much play, you know, real life versions of The Sims.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, cause
Yeah.
imagine if somebody just created a world where people could like upload their like things into this world and just go and play baseball, like any game you could imagine. You know what I'm saying? Can be played on this world. You know?
It's like and we talked about it in our gaming show, and it's perfect again to talk about now, the movie Gamer.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much the same exact premise of what y'all are talking about.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you know what the scary thing is like right now we're all engaging each other, and we like to feel that every thought that is coming into our mind is our own. But how do you know if you're being controlled? Like, even the thoughts that I'm saying right now, it could be someone saying, yes, we want Bill Perry to think this, and have him feel as though that's an original thought. So it's hard to separate, you know. That's what Neo's paradox was, you know, when he first unplugged from the Matrix and they were introducing him to the real world. It shocked him, man. The dude even threw up, you know, it messed with his head. But think about that. If you woke up tomorrow and you were sleeping in an incubator that was created by machines, and you got all these plugs in your ass, and that's your real life. Yeah, that's where you've really been sitting all your life, but you've been thinking that you've been sitting here doing a podcast on Skype and stuff and all this. And, you know, what it is, you sleeping in a cesspool of your shit and piss.
Hey, that's them kind of thoughts that make you want to smoke a cigarette, for sure.
Hey, do you remember at the end of Men in Black? I don't remember which one, but they kept showing the different galaxies, and then it got all the way to the marbles, and it was some creature that was playing games with the marbles, and they put it in the sack.
Right, and it was a whole bunch of universes, you know, and it was just that alien like playing like marbles with all these. And you know what? That is plausible, just like any other thought.
Yeah.
It is.
You know, because consider this, right? You know, and I've made this analogy to you before, Scoob, and you know, Chef Mac has overheard me say this about that skin cell analogy.
Yeah.
You know, for all intents and purposes, our skin or any cell inside of us, blood cells, skin cells, bone cells, whatever, none of them know how the life that they occupy lives. Like right now, Scoob, you talking about having a cigarette. Your skin cell doesn't know that you want to have a cigarette. You know what I'm saying? So you can kind of consider the universe like that. For what Shy's saying, it's like right now somebody could be playing freaking marbles with our universe. How the hell would we know?
We wouldn't. Like, all we know is just an earthquake or a tornado or a thing, you know?
Oh, we wouldn't even know that. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, you know, right now, our planet is moving. It's spinning and it's moving through space, and we can't feel it. But that motherfucker's spinning super fast, thousands of miles an hour, and it's careening through space. It's not stationary, but we can't feel it.
You know what I thought, speaking of Armageddon, when, like, it's crazy that the Earth is spinning so fast right now, you know? And, like, I remember being a kid when you first learn about that, and you sit there crisscross applesauce, and you're just trying to, like, feel the Earth spin, and you can't. But, like, in that movie, they get going so fast in that spaceship that like there's like I can't remember what the term was they used, but like they were all like shaking because they were moving so fast. And when you were just saying that, it just gave me the thought. I wonder, in comparison to how fast they were going to how fast we're spinning just standing here on Earth, and I guess because of the atmosphere is the reason why we don't feel it, or.
Well, it's gravity. You know what I'm saying? Gravity is what keeps us stationary, baby. Without that, our ass would be gone.
Here's something like I never hear people talk about. How do we know that we don't feel it? Because like you don't hear your heartbeat even though it makes a sound. You're so used to it. You don't see your nose even though you do see your nose. How do we know we don't feel the Earth spinning even though we don't necessarily feel it spinning?
No, I
Like
feel
maybe
you.
we're so used to it over the billions of years that we've been here.
Yeah, it's probably, we probably adapted to the sensation. Like, another life form, say if they come from a planet where the planet didn't spin as fast and then they came into our orbit, maybe it would do something to them because they're not accustomed to that speed. Like what Chef Mack is saying, we've become adapted to it. And it's kind of like, to bring it back to the whole movie stuff. You guys ever heard of that movie, War of the Worlds?
I haven't seen it though.
And essentially what happens is these alien creatures come down and they're kicking our ass for the most part. But guess what ends up taking them out? Our bacteria on our planet. Huh. Because we've become accustomed to adapting to all the bacteria that we're accustomed to on this planet. We don't think about it. We developed immune systems and our bodies combat it. But you go to another world and your body has never been exposed to a certain type of germ. And, it may do some, imagine that you're a sickly person and you go to another planet with that disease, what it does. Look what happens right here on our own planet when you had diseases that were brought from Europe, like syphilis and redpox that were brought here to the Americas. And what that did to the Native Americans, even though Europeans had adapted to that shit, but the Native Americans had never been exposed to it. So they went out, man, like flies. So you take that from a galactic perspective. Hell, you go to some other planet, as much as I like the idea of that kind of stuff, but it's like, yeah, but, shit, man, microbially, we may be taken out if the moment we take off our mask in another world.
Yeah, we have to consider their gravity. It's like, is it something that will float or just would it weigh us down? There's a whole bunch of things. Oh, I just read somewhere that this is way off the subject, but there's a planet that rains iron.
Huh.
Oh, no, check it out. To kind of stay on there real quick, but I won't harp on it. But there's an asteroid out there that has so much gold in it that it would make everybody on this planet multi-billionaires, way over. Each person on this planet, all 8-9 billion of us, would each be billionaires if we extrapolated the gold on this asteroid, which is like soup, like the size damn near of our sun type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I know, right? There's like artifacts in space that have these things, and again, I'm going to try to keep it on the movie topic. One of my favorite ones is Alien, for example. And like, the premise of the movie, even though a lot of people forget this because of what happens, but the very first Alien, those people were actually alien miners. Sigourney Weaver and them's character, they were out there to go mining on other planets for other minerals and elements and such. Like I'm talking about, iron, this, that, whatever. But then, of course, we know what happens. They end up discovering, aliens. And then dude ends up having a monster pop out his goddamn chest.
Is that where
they wanted to colonize that planet, right?
Well, that was in the second one. The second one when they did the colonization. The first one, they were just out there, like I said, you're talking about mining asteroids and such. That's what they were essentially out there doing. They were going out there to mine other, elements and stuff from other artifacts in space, other planets, other, objects. But again, they discovered the damn xenomorph.
So I kind of want to change the movie topic real quick. This is one movie I wanted to talk about, and I'm surprised that Scooby has not brought it up yet. And that's The Sandlot.
Oh,
Sandlot.
What you guys
That's
think
one of my
Scoob?
personal favorite movies. And me and Scooby played baseball, and we were gonna play softball this year, but the pandemic happened.
Well, what do you guys think about Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner?
It's not my favorite, but I like it. It's I used to be scared of shit of it because I watched Children of the Corn first.
Oh.
And then so like, Field of Dreams was just like, man, fuck those people coming out the corn. Like
But you know what was cool about the movie is like all the old school players, like
yeah,
Phyllis Joe Jackson and all these kind of people are coming out of the woodwork and shit.
yeah.
If you build it, they will come, and them ghostly motherfuckers came.
I feel like
Yeah.
if we're gonna talk baseball movies, my two favorite are For Love of the Game with Nicolas Cage, or not Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner, excuse me. It's about a guy who plays for the Detroit Tigers, and like it kind of goes through his whole story of the league and like all the sacrifices he's made for playing baseball, and like if you really like if you love the sport, you probably love that movie because it gives it all, the relationship issues and all that. And then Mickey, which is about a little league baseball player who his dad is on the run for like tax evasion, so they create false identities and he gets to play one more year of little league, but he's so good that they end up going to the World Series, and there's this big, huge thing about it. But those two are probably my favorite baseball movies, sports movies in general. There's a golf movie though too that like I can't remember what the name of it off the top of my head. Oh man, I watched this like 7, 8 times with my Grammy, but
You ain't talking about the Ledger of Bag of Vance or some shit, are you?
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That movie is a classic. And then it's also another Kevin Costner movie about golf where he gets the shanks. Tin Cup.
Oh, okay.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
into it.
yeah. That's a really really good movie. Like there's this classic scene that I've actually used in the studio sometimes when like people get on the microphone and they like are having trouble rapping. I'd be like, take everything out of your right pocket and put it in your left pocket. Like turn your hat backwards. You know what I'm saying? Like because you're overthinking it, and that's why in the movie you got the shank, but in the studio it's why you keep messing up your verse. You're overthinking it. I've used that methodology in a lot of things in life. It's a really good movie.
Have you ever seen that movie, The Fan, with Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro?
I haven't.
Yeah. Love
Yeah,
that.
that's a crazy baseball movie. Like Robert De Niro is a big fan of Wesley Snipes' character, and it gets really crazy. I just say that. I mean, Robert De Niro is playing a crazy fan, so you can imagine.
Have y'all seen the Jackie Robinson movie?
Oh,
42.
hell yeah, 42.
Man, so there was
That's
this really
wonderful.
really powerful scene when Jackie's over there, he's playing, and the shortstop is like one of the fans' favorite players, right? And his dad's over there yelling all this shit at like Jackie Robinson and whatnot. And then you see the son start yelling it too because he's looking up at his dad, seeing him yell all this hate speech, and he's just like trying to be like his dad. And then the shortstop goes over and puts his arm around Jackie. It's like, we gonna get through this together, yada yada. And then it goes up to the kid in the stands, and you see him like confused, And yeah, it was a really really powerful scene in that movie that really stood out to me.
All right, so
Yeah.
we need to pause it there. We're definitely gonna have to continue this because there's so many things, like you mentioned Children of the Corn, and like that brings up Stephen King movies like Shawshank and It, and the Star Wars movies we never got to talk about. So we're gonna have to continue this podcast at another date. But we need to get into the rapid fire.
Can we put like when we get 100 views on this, we'll do a part 2 of At the Movies with Bridging the Gap.
Yeah, 100
That
views.
sound good for y'all?
Hey, that
15
sounds good
likes.
to me. And
15
it's funny
likes.
you say that, Chef Mac, because damn, man. I mean, Star Wars, how dare us leave that out, man? I can't believe none of
Well,
us brought
I
that
thought
up.
about just didn't get around to because we were talking about the other things because Billy, we were just talking about Star Wars, so I was definitely going to bring that up. And Hunter, you have no idea. You have touched me with Stephen King. That's one of the ones. Misery, I got right here. That's Stephen King movies. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I just watched both of the brand new It's. I never watched the original, but I watched the new ones.
And I saw The Shining myself not too long ago.
I've seen The Shining, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But like you said, Chef Mac, we'll get to it another time.
100
15
views,
likes on the
15 likes.
video.
Yeah, 100 likes of the video. We'll make a part 2.
Okay, so let's get into this rapid fire. Wait, I had it a second ago. Okay. So first question: would you rather have a golden voice or a silver tongue?
Golden voice all day long.
Yeah,
Silver tongue.
golden voice, man. I think I already have a silver tongue, so golden voice.
Yeah, true. I stay silver tongue. I don't know. I like
No,
rapping.
Scoob, you need a golden voice over there, baby. What you talking about?
Yeah, you
Hey,
can't
hey,
sing for
hey,
shit.
it's coming though.
You heard what Chef Max said.
I personally would love a silver tongue to be able to talk my way in and out of situations, you know.
Oh, well, consider it from that perspective, yeah, have it being slick and everything. But man, if you could sing, man, you can sing yourself out of some problems, probably.
True.
Sure.
Oh, just really quick, there's the story that my dad loves to tell us about this gospel group that was pulled over by the police, and then they were arrested, and it's just a lot of things. But when they went before the judge, they didn't have any money for their bail, so they sung their way. They sung a gospel song, and they sung it with such feeling that they had the judge crying, and the judge literally let them go. True story.
Well, I actually got pulled over here in Oxford for not having a tag, and the guy recognized me as Scooby the Kid, got me to spit a little rap for me, and then let me go.
People
But
have
I would, yeah, I would say that Shy, what you were describing there was probably a golden voice, and what Scoob just described was more like a silver tongue.
Yeah, true.
All right, let's
All
keep
right.
it moving.
Would you rather spend the rest of your life in a sailboat or an RV?
I think you already asked this one.
Yeah, we've asked this on Holly Field's
Yeah.
show.
Okay.
So are we going to answer it? Because I'll have to say
Yeah.
that I get a little seasick, so I have to say probably an RV. I don't mind. And then you can stop for concerts. You can stop for all kinds of activities that, you'll just be in the middle of the sea. But I'm sure that you have some activities. I'm not a seaman, so I don't really know. But yeah, RV for me.
If you could put yourself into any video game or movie, what would you go into?
Into any video game or movie?
Yeah.
Well, we already said it, The Sims, so I'm there with The Sims.
The Sims?
And like, if you put yourself into the movie, you're the main character.
Put yourself in the movie and you're the main character. Oh, damn.
Oh, I got one. Okay. Laura
Go ahead,
Croft.
Shy.
I'm Laura Croft, so.
Laura Croft? That's cool. Damn, man. I think because of the fact that it's a mix of sci-fi and superhero, I have to say Neo.
Okay.
Because it's like I can create whatever world I want by altering, it's like, okay, I live in a real shitty dystopian future, but I can plug into this reality and fly my ass around like Superman and save people. Like, yeah,
And
I think Neo would be the character I'd have to be.
I'd probably either be A Boogie from Paid in Full or Johnny Depp's character in Blow.
Oh, you want to be drug dealers and shit, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can do that in real life. That's not fantasy.
Hey, but shit, that's a whole new level, though.
Yeah, true that.
I would either say I'd have to be the Flash in like a movie about him or Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Like if I had to go into either of those, Sherlock Holmes would be a good one too.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes would be fine.
Hey, guess what? Here's a fun fact. Do you know that the famous quote, "It's elementary, my dear Watson," was never mentioned
Never in a book.
Holmes book?
Nope.
Wow.
You know your shit. Indeed.
Okay. 2 more questions. Would you rather be a reverse centaur or a reverse mermaid/merman?
Oh shit. When you say
Mermaid.
reverse centaur, like how do you mean, like the animal?
So legs of a human, head of a horse, like body
Like
of
Bojack Horseman.
Oh, okay. Either that or a merman or mermaid.
Yeah, but like instead of having a fin as your legs, you have your normal human legs with the head of a fish.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, with that case, the centaur, dude, I have to do the head of a horse, man. I can't beat fish. Hell no.
I like the water. I'd be a fish.
Yeah, I'd be a fish so I could explore the ocean.
Yeah, I'll be a centaur. No, I couldn't have a fish head.
Hey, talk to me, Shy. Hell with some fish head, man. I mean,
I would
I
have
have to
my
do
long
between that and a,
running
I
around my
mean, between that or a horse head. I mean, come on now. I ain't trying to look like, goddamn it. Nah, at any rate.
I feel that.
Okay, where I had the final question and now I can't find it.
If y'all haven't, y'all should go watch BoJack Horseman because they have both of those characters in there. They have a man with a horse head and a man with a fish head in the show BoJack Horseman. It's on Netflix.
Oh, word.
And like BoJack Horseman, he was like basically Danny Tanner on this cartoon TV show, but in reality, he's like the real Danny Tanner or whatever, Bob Saget. This is a fucking funny ass show.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I can't find the question that I had.
Hey, okay. Well, while he's looking for that, I'll see if I can squeeze one in here real quick. What's the better sci-fi series, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I've never seen either one.
I've never seen either one.
If we're doing a show about movies and y'all ain't seen Star Wars or Star Trek, the people watching this are like fucking tripping right now. I'm telling y'all got to get your shit on. Come on now. Star Trek, both of those survived into the modern times. They have modern Star Wars, modern Star Trek. Y'all young men better hip yourselves.
It might be something I'm interested in now as a kid, like I say, like up until probably like 22, I was just I only watched movies that were like real life. If I couldn't base it off real life, I wasn't really a big fan of it. I don't know why I was like that. I never even really watched cartoons and shit like that. But
oh man, I watched the hell out of cartoons. I'm sorry, I ain't with you on that one, bro.
Hey, I feel that, yeah.
I still watch cartoons.
Yeah. Okay, I can't find the question, so I'm just gonna create one on the top of my head. If you had to be in any superhero world, would you rather be in Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Marvel?
Indeed. Marvel's more realistic. DC is too Boy Scouty. Superman. Now Batman's dark, but Batman's the darkest goddamn DC character. Fucking Marvel is riddled with them. Wolverine, Hulk. All these motherfuckers is fucking pissed off and aggressive as hell. But I love them.
I would say DC just because it leaves opportunity for me to be the star. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you got, like, so many in Marvel that's, like, I wouldn't want to compete with. I fuck with them how they are. So, like, I'd definitely go DC. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, DC does have
DC
Superman,
well.
so.
True.
Because,
but fuck
like,
Superman.
at least in DC, yeah, fuck Superman. At least
Fuck
in DC.
Superman?
Yeah.
Oh. Y'all talking about the original boy there. Come on now. You can't say fuck Superman. Come on now.
True.
At any rate, what's the point you gonna make, Chef Mac?
Like, at least in DC, like, most of, like, the superheroes in Marvel are, like, I don't want to say random pick, but, like you could just so happen to, like I'm going to go off the TV show of Flash. You could just so happen live in Central City and get superpowers by accident,
Right.
Granted, that could happen in Marvel, like the Hulk with the gamma radiation and
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man. I mean, even Captain America with the, he just got randomly picked for the super serum soldier.
Right. But
That's
I have to say, when it comes to DC, Hunter, man, like you keep talking about the Flash, man. When I was a kid, the Flash was my dude, man, because my sister could attest to this, man. I was a big track guy. I used to love running, man. I was like one of the fastest kids in my neighborhood and in my school and shit. And so the Flash really just stuck out with me, man. And they took the Flash to really beautiful places. Like, he tapped into the, like, speed force that can travel through time. Like, I think there's a cartoon where he races Superman and kicks his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's real cool, man. It's like I think they did it with the real characters, but there's a cartoon version of it where they essentially need the entire world to race. You know what I'm saying? Like they're racing to the entire fucking globe, and fucking Flash, wins as he should. I mean, Superman's, fast, but I mean the Flash, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Facts. I got one, and if I've already asked this on the podcast, we don't have to answer it, but just to maybe take it to a little deeper place, I had thought about this. If hypothetically speaking, if there's like a heaven and a hell after the war and whatnot, and God comes to y'all, we'll say we all go to heaven. God comes to y'all and he asks y'all, would y'all go to actually let me take that back.
You've asked this question before, Scoop.
All right, I got a different one. It goes like this. Would you rather you be happy and the rest of the world be sad, or you be sad and the rest of the world be happy?
I'd rather be sad.
Well, see, the thing is, they say that a person that is completely aware of what's going on in the world and they still try to help the world, that's essentially how they're living. Like an activist and people like this, we actually have people that live this way in life. You know what I'm saying? Martin Luther King got killed, for trying to help others, and Gandhi, and so that's a very noble perspective. If I'm going to be completely honest, though, that's a paradox, man, because you being unhappy doesn't make the world completely happy, as it were. There's still one person, which being you, is unhappy, and you have the potential to bring unhappiness to that so-called happy world because you're unhappy, aka the North Star, Lucifer, in heaven, and then tricking all those angels to follow him because he felt some type of way about God, and utopia in paradise, and everybody was feeling good, but there was this one dude that felt bad, and now we all live in sin because of that, according to the biblical stories.
Yeah.
At any rate, I'm just twisting hairs about that. That's all.
I like that. Shit, I mean,
hey, but hold up, Shy, you never answered the superhero one. I was curious about the superhero one with Shy.
Oh shit.
Oh, which one was that?
About what Hunter had asked, what superhero would you want to be, or what superhero movie would you want to put yourself in?
Oh, which superhero movie would I want to be in? Oh gosh, that's kind of hard to pick. I haven't seen too many. My only thing can go to Superman right now. Not the one with Christopher Reeve, but what's his name?
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, there you go.
But what about like Wonder Woman, or?
I've never seen that, so I guess it would be cool to be in a movie with Wonder Woman, but.
But no, you actually being the character is what he was saying. Like you're the main character being the superhero.
Oh, yeah. Who wouldn't want to be Wonder Woman? Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be Wonder Woman. Amazon queen. I mean, yeah, she was super bad, and with her lasso or whatever you called it. So I can't think. I Catwoman. I love Catwoman. I loved Michelle Pfeiffer's version. And
God damn, y'all! I just killed a big ass fucking spider.
Oh shit.
Okay, Spider-Man. There you go.
Yeah, I just stepped on that. But God damn, if I didn't look down, that motherfucker would have crawled up my leg, bro.
Damn, so good.
Sorry about that, Shy. God damn, I ain't seen a spider that big in this fucking place.
Reminded me of Spider-Man. We haven't talked about him, but you've never been a Spider-Man fan. But I said that I would like to be Catwoman. I love Michelle Pfeiffer's version, and I loved Halle Berry's version. So either one.
Oh, okay, yeah, no doubt. What's that new girl? The one that everybody's talking about now. She was in the Avengers, but they did her movie series last.
Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow.
No, not Black Widow. The one with the superpowers.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. The original Captain Marvel was a black woman with an afro.
No, I didn't. Wow.
Look up the original image of damn, I forgot the name already.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Yeah, look up the original image of Captain Marvel. It was a black woman with an afro. I don't know how we ended up now got a damn blonde girl.
You reminded me. You reminded me of X-Men and that character Storm. She was a good one.
Oh
And
yeah.
not just her, but the other. I would like to be that main one, Jane, or I think that was her name. Jane.
Jean Grey.
Jean Grey. Yeah, she was.
Yeah, with all that psychic powers and stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being. Tell you the truth, I would like to be her a little more than Storm, I think, because she was pretty
And
cool. She was
look, Jean Grey becomes the
Dark Phoenix.
and becomes like the baddest goddamn Marvel character of them all.
You mean like really good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like she becomes this character called the Phoenix, and she just pretty much has like the power of the universe, it would appear.
Oh,
And like there's not a Marvel character that could touch her when she gets to that kind of power level. That's why they put so much emphasis on her in the X-Men series, because it's like she ultimately like becomes more powerful than Professor X even.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, she becomes more powerful than all of them. Magneto, and you know Magneto's like a close second because Magneto's a goddamn beast.
Hell yeah.
But at any rate, ain't we towards the end here now?
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Last thing, thoughts. How's that looking?
Oh, yes, that is fantastic, Chef Mac.
I like it.
Damn. Hell yeah. And I'm so glad you did that. Finally, our audience getting a chance to see what Chef Mac can do with that
Yeah,
pig.
I got art hanging up back here too, if y'all can see it.
Yeah, we've mentioned on our early podcast before how Chef Mac is a terror with that pen, and he just proved it right there. He's literally been sketching that throughout this podcast.
I started that when we started the podcast. So however long it is, about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes is what it's taking me to get to where I am.
That is awesome, Chef Mac. Well,
Oh,
look, man, I
Shy.
think. Uh-oh, did we just lose Shy?
Yep.
Oh, no. Well, look, this has been a great edition, another great edition of Bridging the Gap with Bill, Shy, Scoob, and Mac. And I think we just lost Shy there at the end. That sucks. But at any rate, we've had a great time and hope you guys enjoyed episode 10 here talking about movies, at the movies.
Yeah,
Sure.
15 likes and we'll do part 2 to this.
And 100 views. And make sure y'all follow us, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. At Bill Perry, at Scooby the Kid 252, at Cheryl Perry. I think it's like Cheryl5 is what it is on Instagram. And that's Chef Mac 1523. And see y'all.
Check us out on Twitch just about every night.
We streaming video games, Call of Duty. We having a good time in this quarantine.
Oh,
Shy.
wait a minute. I think we just got Shy back. Shy, can you hear us?
yeah, the call. There I am. Okay, I guess you see me.
Yeah. No, not yet. At least not on my end.
Okay, here, let me see. Yeah, I had the call failed there.
Oh, well,
man.
we actually was just literally kind of doing our last little tags there. So if there's anything you want to add to this before we close it out.
Oh, this has been a wonderful show, and I appreciate being a part of it. And this was, a lot of fun. And for everybody out there, I hope that you enjoy it. Try your best to take it easy, and like how we've said before, stay safe. We all know the safety measures, so let's follow the guidelines, and we'll get through this. But in the meantime, while we're getting through this, enjoy our podcast.
Indeed. Wash your hands.
Definitely.
And wash your hands.
I'll see you guys next week.
All right, one love.
Yeah,